A high-value woman doesn't chase approval. She walks in knowing she already has it from the one who matters most. Her confidence is not arrogant. It's anchored. She understands that her worth was established long before she ever entered a relationship, a room, or a conversation. That's what makes her presence powerful. When she talks to a man, she's not trying to earn love, attention, or validation. She's communicating from a place of fullness, not from emotional famine. She doesn't wait for someone to give her permission to be valuable. She shows up already operating in her divine identity. You see, in a world where women are often told to compete, compare, and conform, the high-value woman does something different. She conquers. She doesn't conform to culture. She transforms the environment around her. She doesn't chase relationships for status. She cultivates them for purpose. When a man approaches her, she's not thinking, how do I get him to like me? She's thinking, does he qualify for the level of peace, power, and purpose I walk in? That mindset shifts the entire dynamic. She doesn't lower her value to make someone feel more comfortable. She holds her value so they have to rise to her level. This is not pride, it's principle. And the principle is this: your value teaches others how to treat you. If you carry yourself like you're disposable, people will treat you like an option. But when you carry yourself like royalty, people approach you with reverence. Esther didn't beg King Xerxes for his attention. She prepared in private, walked in favor, and let the grace of God position her. That's what high-value women do. They let their preparation speak louder than their desperation. They don't need to prove themselves because their presence already communicates purpose. When she speaks, her words carry weight, not because she's loud, but because she's rooted. She speaks with kindness, but she doesn't sugarcoat truth. She asks questions not to manipulate, but to measure the man in front of her. Can he lead with integrity? Does he live with vision? Does he treat others with honor? These are not interview questions. They are spiritual filters. Because she's not just talking to a man, she's discerning if this man is aligned with her God-given assignment. There she asks questions. Because she's not just talking to a man, she's discerning if this man is aligned with her God-given assignment. A high-value woman knows that being approachable doesn't mean being available to everyone. She doesn't hand out emotional access to anyone who gives her attention. She's selective, not out of ego, but out of excellence. Just like you don't find diamonds in discount bins, you don't find high-value women responding to every DM, every compliment, or every surface-level conversation. She knows that her time, her energy, her attention, those are sacred currencies, and not everyone is qualified to make a withdrawal. Let's go deeper. When she talks to a man, she's not performing femininity to please him. She's embodying identity to test him. She listens more than she speaks. But when she speaks, it's intentional. She doesn't flatter to keep his interest. She stands in truth to test his character. She's not afraid to be direct about her values, her standards, and her non-negotiables, because she understands that clarity is kindness. And if a man is intimidated by clarity, he's not built for covenant. This type of woman knows the difference between attention and intention. She can easily spot a man who's intrigued by her appearance, but not prepared for her purpose. She sees through charm when it's not backed by commitment. She's not impressed by surface. She's looking for substance. That's why her conversations aren't just emotional, they're evaluative. They're not rooted in, do you like me? They're rooted in, are we equally yoked? That's spiritual maturity in action. Even her silence speaks volumes. When she chooses not to respond, she's making a statement. Not every voice deserves a reply. Not every approach deserves her time. Because her life is too valuable to entertain confusion. She's not afraid to walk away from what doesn't align. That's power. That's poise. That's purpose. And that's the fruit of knowing who she is in God. There's something magnetic about a woman who doesn't need a man, but is prepared for a man of vision. That type of woman is not trying to compete with men. She's complementing them with grace. She understands submission is not weakness. It's wisdom. But she won't submit to chaos. She won't follow someone who isn't following God. Her submission is reserved for structure, for stability, for spiritual leadership. And until she sees that, she stays seated in her authority, not chasing, not begging, not settling. Her language is seasoned with discernment. She doesn't curse to sound bold. She doesn't belittle to sound strong. Her strength is in her softness. Her depth is in her dignity. And her beauty is in her boundaries. When she talks, she's not looking to be cute. She's looking to be clear. She's not fishing for compliments. She's calling forth destiny. And any man who can't engage at that level isn't rejected. He's simply released. She operates with the same wisdom the Bible talks about in Proverbs. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. That doesn't mean she's passive. That means she's powerful and precise. She's confident without being cold. She's elegant without being egotistical. And when she talks to a man, she's not trying to figure out if he'll like her. She's discerning if God is in it. This woman knows that her value isn't found in likes, followers, or relationship status. It's found in legacy. She's thinking about future generations. She's protecting her peace because she understands she's the gatekeeper of generational blessing. She refuses to let a temporary thrill destroy a permanent calling. That's why her conversations are sacred. That's why her standards are spiritual. And that's why she speaks like a queen, because she understands she's seated in heavenly places. And because she talks like this, men have to level up. Boys fall off, but kings take notice. Because a high-value woman who knows her worth doesn't just change conversations, she changes legacies. Megan fucking Starling, can I say it with don't shit on? A high-value woman does not speak for applause. She speaks from assignment. Her words are not driven by a need to be accepted, but are anchored in divine alignment. She doesn't adjust her tone to impress a man, nor does she shrink her truth to keep his attention. When she opens her mouth, she does so with purpose, not performance. Her conversation isn't rehearsed for charm. It's rooted in clarity. She is not auditioning for love. She's articulating vision. In today's culture, where women are often told to be either submissive or seductive, a high-value woman chooses neither extreme. She chooses sovereignty. She understands that femininity is not a performance to win a man's favor, but a gift to partner with divine purpose. When she talks to a man, it's not to be pleasing, it's to be precise. She's not trying to fill silence with noise. She's trying to fill the space with truth. She knows that words have power, and she refuses to waste them on manipulation or meaningless flattery. She speaks to filter. Her conversation becomes a spiritual gate that reveals who's prepared to walk in her world and who's not. Because she knows that anyone can send sweet words, but not everyone can carry sacred weight. She's not asking, is he nice? She's asking, is he noble? Does he walk in integrity when no one's watching? Can he handle correction without becoming defensive? Is he grounded enough to lead without controlling? These are the questions a high-value woman asks, not aloud, but inwardly, through the lens of discernment. This is not about being critical. It's about being called. And when you are called, you can't afford casual conversation. with people who have no covenant potential. A high-value woman doesn't entertain potential that is not matched by purpose. She knows that empty charisma without character is a distraction from destiny. So her language becomes a mirror, a test, not for ego, but for alignment. Can this man handle a woman with a voice? Can he walk alongside someone who speaks truth in love, even when it's uncomfortable? She doesn't sugarcoat red flags. She doesn't play small to preserve someone's pride. She doesn't adopt a false sense of humility that is really just fear in disguise. No, her humility is rooted in heaven. It's confident, not cocky. She can celebrate a man's strength while still protecting her own standards. She can affirm without idolizing. She can disagree without dishonoring. That's emotional intelligence. That's spiritual maturity. That's high value energy. When she speaks, her language is layered. There's softness, but there's also strength. There's curiosity, but there's also clarity. She knows when to ask, when to pause, and when to walk away. She's not afraid of silence because she doesn't need to fill every gap with chatter. Her quiet is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's her spirit evaluating what her eyes cannot see. She lets the man reveal himself, not just through what he says, but how he responds to what she says. And let's be clear, she doesn't speak to get attention. She already has attention. She says to him, what she wants is alignment. She's not asking, how do I make him want me? She's asking, is this relationship worthy of my calling? And if it's not, she doesn't throw a fit. She simply steps back. Not to manipulate, but to move on. Her words are too powerful to be poured into someone who's not prepared for the weight of who she is becoming. Even Jesus didn't waste words. When he spoke, demons fled, storms calmed, and destinies away. That's the model. A high-value woman doesn't speak just to be heard. She speaks to shift atmospheres. Her voice carries healing, correction, vision, and boundaries. She can bless a man and still challenge him. She can encourage him and still hold him accountable. That balance is rare. That balance is holy. She's not looking for a transactional exchange. She's seeking transformation. So when she engages a man in conversation, it's not about games, it's about growth. She's trying to see, does this man speak life or just spit lines? Does he cast vision or just chase vibes? She's not swayed by romantic phrases that lack practical action. She wants alignment in faith, values, work ethic, and purpose. And if that alignment isn't there, no matter how good the chemistry is, she knows better than to compromise. Her words reflect her values. She doesn't gossip, belittle, or criticize. She doesn't weaponize silence, and she doesn't punish with sarcasm. She communicates directly and gracefully. She says what she means without playing mind games. And if she's hurt, she brings it up with maturity, not manipulation. Her emotional intelligence is not just attractive, it's an anointing. Because she's been healed, she speaks from wholeness, not wounds. A woman like this is dangerous to a man who wants control, but she is priceless to a man who values covenant. She is priceless to a man who values covenant. Because she's not asking to be rescued, she's inviting someone to build with her. She doesn't need a savior. She already has one. What she's seeking is a partner, someone who can pray with her, grow with her, and run the race with her. So her words reflect that vision. She's not playing house. She's preparing for legacy. There is a kingdom rhythm to how she speaks. Her tone is warm, her questions are intentional, and her presence is peaceful. But her boundaries are firm. She doesn't tolerate confusion, inconsistency, or spiritual immaturity. She doesn't get entangled with men who are still figuring out who they are while draining the woman she already knows herself to be. She will love deeply, but she will walk away quickly if peace and purpose are compromised. This woman is not a chameleon who changes colors to survive in different environments. She's an eagle who soars above mediocrity. Her conversations are not random, they are refined. They are not based on moods, they are based on mission. She is not trying to attract with empty energy. She is trying to align with kingdom destiny. And any man who talks to her must understand her words are not just words, they are windows into the legacy she's building. So when she speaks to a man, she's not trying to prove that she's worthy of love. She already knows she is. She's simply checking, does this man have the spiritual depth, emotional strength, and visionary clarity to walk with her on the road that God has marked out for her? And if he does, he won't be thrown off by her boldness. He'll be inspired by it because he'll recognize this is not just a woman. This is a woman of assignment. And when that kind of woman speaks, she doesn't just engage a man, she activates him.